Hey, it's Mike, it's Old Religion Dystopia. I'm going to mirror a very interesting video that I found. But first, I want to bring up a couple images I'm going to be sharing through the interview. They're completely outside of the interview, but have something of relevance, at least how I see it. Um, that is, there's some images from Pierre Sabak's latest interview with Mike Oram, and Mike has these images of these entities he calls Tula people that I don't think are Tula people at all, but what the heck do I know, huh? Well, one thing would say is that there's some strange similarities to some of the things that, like, I filmed in my backyard. You see the date on there was on the 21st, and there were some certain entities that were manifest, um, and just kind of misty looking things. There's one right here as well. It's not a gutter, so but you see there's very similar in nature. Also, very interesting this image of orbs going almost vertical, straight up in the air, which I've never seen before. Yeah, of course, Oram thinks that this is something special. Sorry about that extra video. So here's another entity that I filmed in my backyard. Something materializing right in here. I know it's easy to just say that they're specks of dust or whatever, or water vapors, but another thing that I filmed this past month, this is in that ravine where that tree structures that I found in my middle of town. There is something right here materializing, for whatever it's worth. Another something materializing in here in the tree, and it ain't an owl. And it's in my neighbor's yard. There's it right there, and yeah, hate to disappoint everyone. And also, during this interview of this gentleman, um, this manifests on his chin, and that's something of importance. So, anyways, this is dealing with these unclean, dark energies, spirits, archons, whatever. And there's a lot of us, even through deliverance and everything else, and believing in Jesus. And people try to tell you that if you don't go to the Christian church, that's part of the problem. It's just these spirits trying to keep you from going there. I don't believe that's the case. Maybe they're trying to do that, but the problem is if the churches aren't being honest about what the Bible's saying, then what do you do? I mean, you have. Unfortunately, we live in this loosh farm, as I like to call it, loosh factory, in which a lot of us have to go through extreme misery and suffering in this life, and it seems to feed certain entities called spirits, jinn, uh, uh, fallen angels, whatever the heck it is. But it seems to me that the only thing that does seem to help when you're in the middle of spiritual warfare is, oh, the name Jesus. But it's weird because the Bible is always designed to keep you from even believing in Jesus and in religion as well. So, for whatever it's worth, that's just my opinion. It's once again, well, not once again. The video comes from a new channel that I found. I found it via Tony Sayers that I discovered through Forever Conscience research channel. And so through Tony Sayers, and he's been on this channel a few times. These are all relatively small channels. I don't know how many Forever Conscious, Forever Conscious research channel, how many followers he has. And I know that like the new now, he's I had about 4,000 subs when they took me out. So on the 6th of January of 2021. So anyways, this channel, it looks like he's got some pretty interesting stuff along with Tony Sayers, along with Forever Conscious Research channel. And but we're going to listen to their latest video, Psychonauts Gone Wild, Mind Monster 6 with Jerry Marzinky, I guess, Zinsky or something like that. Anyways, Jerry is known for, I guess, his work with schizophrenics and realizing that there's something spiritual in nature going on, not just chemical. So it's worth a listen to. If you want a better recording of it, I will have a link in the description so that if you don't like the audio, a lot of these videos that I mirror, the hope is that people will go to the people listen to my small channel will go and explore these channels and do your own personal research. So that's the reason why I mirror them. And also, I'm in a real funk when it comes to presenting anything new to anybody. So, but I'm presenting some new stuff, images of what looks like something that kind of looks like a Bigfoot popping out of the woods, or a tree in particular, once again, popping out of a tree. Something materializing in the ravine there, and these misty looking spirits that I found in the backyard. So like I said, I believe they're everywhere, and some of us are able to see and some of us not. So it doesn't make me better than anyone else or less of a person because of it. It just is. Some of us are marked, and as like I said, speculating that maybe part of it is generational for me. That there's possible that people in my I know there's been people, uncles and etc. that are Freemasons, and possible indigenous ancestors that were shamans. Plus, also, I think Christianity itself is possibly contributing to part of it as well. I'm not saying Jesus, but I don't know. That could be part of it as well, too. It's, the thing is, the more you do this, the more you realize how little you know or understand what's really going on. So until somebody else gives me a personal answer as far as dealing with the spiritual warfare, yeah, I can only say, hey, make sure the name Jesus, the blood and the name of Jesus is part of your arsenal. And I believe most of us are under some form of spiritual warfare. We can intellectualize ourselves into quite a hole, a box, if you will. Anyways, enjoy. There's one more thing. The gentleman being interviewed in this video that's about to be playing, and be playing over it. Some of his videos of him being tormented by these evil energies, spirits, etc. And so it's Conscious Energy is the name of his channel, and it's him having all sorts of strange things and bizarre things happen in his life. So that's what you'll be seeing as well. So it should be one heck of a ride.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to the New Now. We're doing Mind Monsters Part 6. I'm here with Jerry Marzinky once again, and we have a new guest with us, Frank. And Jerry, let's take right into this one and see where we're at, what we're doing, and what we're going to share. Hello, Jerry.
Hey, good to be here again with you. I want to kind of introduce you to Frank. I met him. He got in contact with me, and he had a very interesting story, and it fits in with what I've been trying to get across is the patterns that these voices run, and the fact that they're real. I mean, schizophrenics have been trying to tell psychiatrists that the voices are very real ever since psychiatrists appeared on the planet, and they've been blown off. They've just been totally ignored. They've been told it's a chemical imbalance in your brain, which was a completely fabricated lie by one of the pharmaceutical companies. But their message is there's nothing you can do except take our toxic meds. Your case is hopeless. It's a done deal. You're that way for the rest of your life. In order for them to have a cure for schizophrenia, they have to understand the real cause. And the real cause is the voices that these people are hearing. If you can get rid of those voices by any means, the person turns back to normal. Now Frank was a psychonaut. He experimented a lot with DMT, and he had a lot of interesting results with DMT, including contacting the positive side of things, where there's positive entities and positive spirits and angels. So he's been there, and he's been down to the depths of the bad side too. So this is what Emanuel Swedenborg was putting forth in all his writings some 400 years ago. He was a Christian mystic. He said, your thoughts don't come from you. They come from other sources other than you. And that your brain is like a radio receiver, and you pick up the ones that you're tuned to. And then you listen to the ones that, have a message that you want to hear. Frank's kind of a living example of that. And so he has an entity stuck in him now that invaded him while he was using DMT and piling something else on top of it. So he was on a trip that was way past the standard trip.
So maybe Frank. So maybe Frank, you
can
bring us into this. Tell us why you decided to try DMT and ayahuasca and whatever other power plants you experimented with. What your positive experiences were, and what led you to being so-called possessed.
Yeah, right. So what led me to ayahuasca? Why was I doing ayahuasca, DMT, psychedelics, basically? For the healing aspect side of it. It really is, it's a tool. Psychedelics are a tool. And if you use them properly and responsibly, you can really, really get a lot of work done on yourself, a lot of inner healing. I was doing that for quite a few years, and I was working with quite high doses. And there's a substance which is called a MAOI. It's an inhibitor, which makes the journey last longer and amplifies everything. It's not psychoactive, it just makes everything last longer and a lot stronger, and basically with any substance. And I combined that with LSD and dimethyltryptamine, DMT. So basically what happened is as I was taking it, I blacked out. And then when I came to, half my body was paralyzed vertically down. And
which side was paralyzed? Which side was paralyzed?
My left-hand side. My left-hand side. I was still coherent enough in my mind. I was saying, okay, I've taken DMT, it'll wear off in a minute. And then all of a sudden, something grabbed my arms, an energy grabbed my arms. Straight away, it lifted me off the chair, and I opened my eyes. And the first thing I said instinctively was, what are you doing? Because I was looking at these two, what I would describe humanoid-looking figures made of blue light. And I could see them through a background on the other side of what I can describe as holographic images surrounding me. A bit like being in a futuristic hospital in a way. My body was being stretched out, and I was looking at these holographic, some sort of machine, scanning my body and feeling the parts of my body that it was scanning. And then something that's quite relevant is at one stage my head turned to one side, and I felt a huge impression under my ear and my neck, which is quite relevant today because it's all swollen there. There's a big lump. The doctors don't know what's going on. After this went on for as far as I'm concerned, I was being probed by aliens at the time, and this went on for maybe 10, 15 minutes, and then the holographic images wore off, and I was sitting in a chair, my body was just moving around, arms waving around, and I'm telling the guys that this isn't me, and then all of a sudden, my arms dropped down to my lap, nothing was happening, and I said out aloud, "What now?" And my arm lifted up, it reacted to my voice. And
Frank, let me get some clarity. Was this when this entity first entered you during this episode, or was that a later episode?
Well, I feel like this is the first time because it actually happened over 2 or 3 nights, until it showed its true colours, basically. But on this night, this is the night that it all sort of originated from. I put my consciousness out in some realm, way out there, and something's got in there. This is the most popular belief anyhow, because the truth is no one knows the truth.
Okay, so this is the first of 3 nights you're talking about now. 3 nights in a row? Yeah. Okay. And then it was the third night where you got invaded, or was it at this time?
It was, well, I feel like it was in me from the start, from this night, but it stayed dormant inside me until, a couple of weeks later, till I experimented again because I wanted to make contact.
Could I ask, like it was could we get like a bit of background? How many trips in was this, so to speak, before it happened? And you mentioned guys in the room with you, so what was going on around you? Like, how many times did you travel before this happened? Like, was it 1 year, 2 years, 10 years? 1 trip, 100 trips? Before this happened, like how many times?
Yeah, sure. I've done ayahuasca over 50 times. I've been to Peru 4 or 5 times, Ecuador, and I've done DMT close to 100 times, I suppose. So I'm quite experienced, especially with the large doses. Like I'm having 300 or 400 milligram, and the breakthrough dose is about 100. So I'm not a stranger to what's happening. Just what has happened on that night is totally foreign. Nothing resembles a normal journey, and I put that down to the Harmalan, the MAOI that I used, the inhibitor.
So, Rick, when you say a breakthrough dose, what does that mean specifically?
Okay, yeah. We have what's called a tourist dose, which is just enough to get you there to that space, to visit that space. And there's a breakthrough dose, which you have a bit more, which you break through. You actually leave your body, you break through to the other side. Okay, that's when you're making contact, basically having a meeting with God, some would translate it. But a breakthrough dose is when you break through, is what's called when you break through to the other side. And that's when you just take your consciousness.
Were you on a breakthrough dose when this alien kind of thing happened to you?
Definitely not, because I blacked out. But I was on a lot larger of a dose than a breakthrough dose, especially with the Harmalan, the inhibitor.
Were you in South America? Were you in Australia? Were you with a lot of people when you had your first of these 3 encounters?
No, well, I was in Australia, out on a property in the middle of nowhere, just with 2 people. We'd gone out there to synthesize DMT and to work with it for the weekend, like we do quite often. And I'd actually just returned from Ecuador a couple of weeks previously, which a few suspicions into why maybe this has happened as well, because the shaman in Peru that I saw said that this was an attack. And I had 7 of these things inside me, and we started working out some possibilities. And one of them was the place that I'd been to previously in Ecuador, that they put this on me. I did give them a bad review. Of quite a big following on my reviews on ayahuasca retreats, because I've been to about a dozen of them.
But why would they put this on you? Do you think? Why would somebody put this on you?
The only thing I can think of, if we're going for that hypothesis that it's from this shaman, this place that I went to before, is that because of the bad review that I gave them, because they're actually a very popular retreat center, and they're just not doing the right thing at all. It's a money-making business. The people aren't being looked after. And I'm quite blunt and honest about my reviews because most of the ayahuasca scene has gotten out of control. People are going over there, they're doing it to get it off their bucket list, and 9 out of 10 ayahuasca centers are not operating legally, and they're not doing it. They're doing it for the money, not for the service and to heal people. Basically, they're full of
So
what's
your
called
point is your point is that in these centers there has to be people who know what they're doing to kind of guide you through this stuff. Otherwise, you could get in some serious trouble.
Oh, most definitely. And the thing is that most of these centers, they're actually practicing witchcraft. They're brujas, stealing people's energies and money as well. And this is common knowledge. This is common knowledge. I've been there enough to know locals and the local scene and how the place is run, or how the whole scene is run. And it's people have got no idea, and especially their unethical views of the institutions trying to get plant medicines decriminalised for their benefits. They're ignoring these dangers of entities because they've all got sponsors. Now, here's the thing: they've all got sponsors. I'm talking about they're all trying to get these substances decriminalised. You have to ask yourself why. When you look at their sponsors, they're all the big corporations and everything. Just like you look at the people sponsoring they're all, it's a psyop within a psyop. What do they want everyone on mushrooms and DMT and, for healing? They're not interested in our health, we know that. So why are these institutions being sponsored big money to push these plant medicines to get them legal, decriminalised, when the sponsors really haven't got the people's best interest, or the corporations, they never have. So it makes me wonder, that they know that. For me personally, I have some theories, and one of them is that these, we're vibrating at a level, and this is our consciousness. When we alter our consciousness with any substance, we start to vibrate on different levels with different energies, and depending on the consciousness shift, there's a lot of dark places, a lot of dark realities where these negative entities are coming in. And I do personally believe that the world is run by people that have these negative entities inside them, and they don't even know it. They don't know it because they're dormant inside them. Now, this could be a battleground versus good and evil, and you have light beings and dark beings inside, these entities, and we're not really in control. I have many crazy theories because every popular belief system that I've come across, nothing computes with what's going on with me. They all have these belief systems, and I do believe that they're all corrupted, or they're all mumbo jumbo in a way.
Well, that kind of fits in with what Swedenborg says, that you have positive and negative entities that come into your thought stream. The negative ones will try to screw you over and take over. So your point was these places, that do this kind of stuff can be dangerous. Is what you were saying. Sure. So get back to your first trip, and go ahead, proceed on.
Yeah. So I'm in the chair, and my body moved, and it reacted, and we start to communicate with it. So we worked out a system where we could get answers from it. Was that it lift my arm up for yes and down for no.
This is the entity. Yeah, this is the entity that got into you, right?
Yeah, sure. So the energy's inside me.
So now you're communicating to it with yes or no answers with the movement of your hand. Okay.
Yeah, sure. And one of the questions we eventually got to the question, are you from the future? And it said yes. And then we eventually got to the question, are you human? And it said yes. So this is why I'm feeling really excited. I've made contact. This is for real for me. And but basically what it was a trickster. What's called a trickster, where it was just lying and saying anything. And I was quite naive to it at the time. And through the questioning, it started to contradict itself. And that's
what the voices do. They're consistent liars. They lie about everything. So
Yeah, because when I think about it, the questions I was asking it, it has no idea. It's just giving me any old answer. Because I'll ask it something, not a question that's not a question, and it'll still answer. It's it basically reacts to everything, just like it reacted to the shaman. The shaman's power. Um, but yeah, so this thing's inside me. We're questioning it. This went on for a few hours. I went to sleep.
So
Next day I woke up. I was sitting.
by we're questioning it, you mean you were questioning it? Like you're using plural. We're questioning it. Who's the we?
Um, yeah, my friends were asking it some questions as
Okay.
well.
Okay.
Yeah.
did you learn
Had three
anything from it?
people.
Or you couldn't
No, we
trust it?
asked it.
You couldn't
Couldn't
trust
trust it
anything?
really.
Nothing it said?
At the time, I was still quite naive to it. Still thinking that it was a positive thing, that it was a good energy. I've just made contact with something. My body's feeling alive. It's moving, and it's got its own consciousness, and this is super exciting for me. This is like wow. And at the time, I thought I must have to take DMT to alter my consciousness to make contact, because the next day I woke up and I felt nothing. I felt absolutely nothing. And it wasn't until a week later when I returned to another property, to another friend's place, and I told him all about it, and I wanted to redo the process. So I'm basically inviting this thing to come inside me. Little did I know that it was still inside me. It was dormant. And this is why I believe that most people in the world have these things inside them and don't know it. When people say or do something that's totally out of character, and you question it and go, where'd that come from? Why did I say that? That's not me. That's not them.
Yeah.
So the following week, I went to my other friend's place, told him all about it. I took DMT, really strange. Nothing happened. It didn't work. I stayed straight, which is really bizarre. It's the most powerful psychedelic known to man. This is where I know I've done something in my mind with my receptors or something. And I've actually had some really surprising, interesting tests I've just done, which I'll share with you later. So yeah, this night, nothing happened except I saw a light energy beam, lots of reds, and I was talking to my friend about it for, trying to describe it, and it was almost moving mechanically, and it jumped after a while, and then the energy came into my arm, and then bang, I've made contact again. At least I thought.
So it was
again,
literally moving your arm around.
Yeah,
or was it?
it makes.
Or did you just feel it come into your arm?
I felt it come into my arm, but it's not just my arm; it's my whole body. It focuses its energy in my arm so it can communicate. When it faces me, it's like looking at me and whatever. So we questioned it, pretty much the same as the first night. Went on for a few hours. I woke up the next day and I was fine. And it wasn't until the third night, a week later, I got my friend to film. And this is black and white videos that I have posted on a new YouTube channel. And again, so my friend's filming. I smoked DMT, nothing happened. I smoke it more, and there's still nothing happened. All of a sudden, a huge wave of energy comes over my whole body, picks me up, puts me on the ground, and the energy concentrates into like a small area on my lower back where I've got a herniated disc and I'm in pain 24/7. It was making the pain stop. It was like a rod scanning that sore spot, and I had no pain. And I was like to my friend, I was saying, I've got to go and get another MRI. It's fixing my back. I can't believe it. I haven't not felt no pain for years. And this went on for 20 minutes, and it wasn't until I tried to get up and I couldn't. It was like an energy force keeping me stuck to the ground. I couldn't get up, and I was struggling with it, and that's when it started to make some really strange sounds for the first time through my throat. It was controlling my body. Then when I eventually could get up, it threw all its energy in my head, had me spinning around and almost tripped over myself, as you've probably seen. And that's when I decided to strap myself into the chair, and it's going to be the safest place. and then it just went crazy. It just went all bizarre, and that's when I knew it wasn't a human from the future, and it was something quite dark, negative. Um, and the thing was is that this went on for a couple of hours again. I woke up the next day and I felt clean, nothing. My friend came to me and said, "Are you okay? Because last night you looked like you needed an exorcism." And I said, "No, I feel fine." And it wasn't until that I was on my way home, I stopped to get something to eat. And while I was eating, it just wasn't me. I was scoffing it down. I was like, this isn't me. And as soon as the instant microsecond that I thought, maybe this thing's inside me, the energy picked up. It was like the gig's up. I can't hide anymore. And it showed itself. And here I was straight on no substances. And I had a glowing energy all around my body. And this thing's looking at me. And and I freaked out. I was like, wow,
Could you see it looking at you? Could you see it looking at you?
Well, through the 3 times from talking at me, what I mean by looking at me is my hand is like its face. So if it was to look at me, it would like this. It's like,
oh, like that. Okay.
That's just when it's looking at me, it's like this. So when we're in communication or whatever, if there's an answer that it doesn't want to answer or is bizarre or whatever, instead of answering, lifting up and down, it'll look at me, or like I've gotten it angry. It has a personality. I can get it mad. I say things like, "You're my slave." You're in my body, my consciousness. You're my slave. You do what I say. I think of a sore spot in my body, and straight away my body reacts and starts healing it, starts fixing it. I've chip bones and fluid in my shoulder. It's sore all the time. But just the instant of thinking it, it's moving like a physio. The energy is moving it like a physio and doing it good. And this, for me, on your side, Jerry, you have the voices. With me, it's not voices, it's thoughts. And also, the people that you work with, these entities seem to be negative and telling people to kill themselves and to cause harm and whatever. With me, it's the opposite. It doesn't tell me to kill myself, but it is very aggressive towards the people. Just through what's in my mind. There's not many similarities between the schizophrenias, what they're experiencing, and to what I'm experiencing, but the connection is spirits and negative entities. Yes, and I went through my way to work with psychedelic. People have got it through, these things through many other ways, and we're all affected differently, I feel. And I feel that what's happening with me is breaking because symptoms showing, I'm so many symptoms that it's just unbelievable. I can't find any connection with any belief system. And what I've just done actually is a test called hypothermia, hypographic test, where it measures the heat rate of your body and temperatures and brings it up on the screen. And there's anomalies all through my body. They're translating it as hypothermia and what's the other word? All throughout my scalp and my body. My scalp and my facial features are showing what's called hypothermia and myofascial, what they're claiming is myofascial syndrome.
Hey Frank,
and this is riddled throughout my body.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you think this is happening to you? Have you any, like, if you couldn't find a belief system, let's say, that is matching, obviously you've probably considered this quite deeply, I'm guessing. So why do you feel that you're having this sort of a deep, crazy, and obviously very detailed experience?
Because of what I did, the substance. It's obviously, the huge doses. We're talking about a mega dose of dimethyltryptamine because of the inhibitor, which really amplifies. I'll give you an idea. If you have this inhibitor and then an hour later you would drink 2 beers, you'd be on the floor, it would be like you drank a carton. Okay?
Why did you start?
Any substance.
Why did you start on this sort of journey? That's what I mean. Maybe going back to before you did 100.
Like I said, for personal healing, upskilling from although it was making me a better version of myself, more compassionate, looking at the world in a different place. from a different view. Working to need think for myself and a lot of healing. It isn't for the fun because ayahuasca is most people don't know it's doing the fun. You've got diarrhea, you vomit. It's very personal and it's experience that is amazing. It's this people thought it's like having a mini god. It's
So Frank,
we're kept in a state of in this realm we're kept in a state of fear.
Yeah.
And the opposite, we're in nature. The opposite is complete love, and you can experience fear.
So Frank, you said you also went to the light side, where you traveled and there were positive spiritual beings or angels there also.
Yeah, for sure. Good entities, 100%. Just, there's the yin and the yang, the good and the bad. Without one, there's not the other. And the good entities, it's just teachings that are put into your mind in a telekinesis type way. It's not like they're talking to you and sometimes I'd see words. They would put words up and I'd be able to read the words. Yeah.
Well, let me throw this out for. Can I throw one thing out for everyone here?
Go ahead.
How do we define good entities versus bad entities? I mean, you mentioned the good entities, Jerry, and you mentioned Frank. You can tell the difference. So let's look at some definitions here.
Good entity. The loving connection that you're getting of bliss and healing that's coming from from something so. No, how could something negative or bad give you such a great feeling and connection? A dark entity. For me, I don't even know if this is an entity. It's, for me, it's a life form. It's some sort of life form, and it's made of light and energy. It's an energy form.
What's it like sharing your What's it like sharing your consciousness with this thing?
Yeah, the last year and a half or so, I've pretty much been ignoring it and living my life as if it's not there because the energy has gotten weaker. And so it's not sort of in my mind 24/7. I've stopped panicking. I've tried a lot of things. I can't keep going along like I was for the rest of my life, feeling sorry for myself and what have I done and no one's helped, feeling alone and what can I do? I've tried all this now. And so I just come to accept it. And I came to accept it and I started to look at it as a gift in a way because it's amplified my empath abilities. And I feel energies. So I try and look upon it as a gift and don't let the negativity of this thing, of what it seems to be, to get to me. I just try and be positive and I do work with, I am still working with psychedelics every now and then to try and find some answers because this is where the problem originated. I've looked for answers here. Maybe I can find some answers in that world, in that level of vibration. And I think I sort of am. At least I'm getting some insights. And
so how do you stop this thing from interfering with your life?
Well, in a way, it doesn't. Well, the only way that it can interfere with my life now is the thoughts. When I leave my mind empty or whatever, or it'll put negative thoughts in my mind, and that's it. The light energy, it doesn't hurt me, except sometimes it really pushes some of the energy hard on one spot. Like at the moment, it's on my front tooth. And my front tooth is like it's frozen. It's just so sensitive. And just all my necks and glands are swollen down one side. Apart from that, they've been like this for, actually there was a shift of energy about 8 months ago. The energy that was surrounding my whole body seemed to focus on the side of my face. Everything's swollen down here and even under my armpit and around the side of my rib cage, everything's swollen. it's all inflamed. The doctors don't know why. I've done an MRI. I've done scans all throughout my body on these parts, and they keep shifting. And 6 or 8 months ago, it shifted, and now it seems to be shifting a little bit around the front of my face. It's pure energy, and if I concentrate, I can work that energy and push it down to my lower part of my body, which was the lady that did the thermography test. We did the test and we looked at the results, and then I said, hang on, can you take one more picture? I'll just do something. And for 30 seconds or so with my mind, I pushed that energy down. So it was with my back, fixing my back and everything. She took another picture and it would all change. The facial thermo reading had changed. So that proved, especially to her, that I can control my body temperature or something with my mind. Now, she's advised me to get some other professionals to interpret the readings, the findings, because they're quite bizarre. They're really, really quite different. Now, the medical people the doctors haven't found anything. So maybe, I'm on the path to, because I believe the way for me to prove anything is to prove that there's something physiology going on with my body that I could maybe even control with my mind. So I'm looking to,
Who are you trying to prove something to, and why?
Who?
Who? Like who? What are you trying to prove?
The brain doctors, brain specialists that are doing research, where I feel that if they examine my brain, they're going to find some anomalies. And then if they're going to, then I'm going to have to put my story and my evidence with what their findings are. And maybe, hopefully, at least I'll realise, no one's going to believe that I've got an entity from another dimension in my brain. I can never prove that. I know that, especially in today's world. But I may be able to prove that something's going on with my body that isn't 100% kosher.
So Frank, there's the list of patterns that I sent you before. You said that both the voices that schizophrenics hear, they're all negative also. They're constantly negative. All right. So there's a matchup there. Yours are somewhat different than the traditional. So, but they're also anti-religious. Now you said in the previous interview that it didn't allow you to pray for help.
Yeah, I've had a few experiences where religions come into it and it didn't like it at all. With my shamanic exorcisms, they had me just constantly asking for help to Archangel Michael, which I was doing. It seemed to get quite aggressive. I've also had a devoted Hare Krishna friend of mine do a chant, and it went crazy. It wanted to attack him with my arm, with the energy, like growling type thing. That same person put 2 religious statues in my hand, and this thing was, wanting me to spoke my way, basically. Now, I'm not too sure if it's doing this because it actually does have a connection with religion, or it was just reacting, because it reacts to everything that I do, whether it be positive or negative. So I'm really 50-50 with that.
What doesn't it like you doing? What does it react negatively to when you attempt to do?
I can't think of anything. I can only go on the previous things that I've done with those, like I've just mentioned.
Have you tried to go to a church with this thing?
No, I've been meaning to. I think that would be interesting. And I'll probably do that this week, actually. Yeah, I've been putting that off.
So Frank, can I ask you a question before Jerry jumps in? Why did you contact Jerry in the first place?
Well, I saw that. I saw what he was all about. He realised that these listeners are not real, and the chemical imbalance is just a scam. There is no, they can't tell you what chemicals. They can't tell you the degree of imbalance. So, and I'm hearing these voices or these thoughts. So with Jerry, at least I've come across someone that actually knows, a professional, 35 years of this trade that knows and believes that that entities are real, that dark force entities are real. And that's the connection that, that I had with Jerry. Because I've been trying to reach out, I've reached out to all the institutions and the DMT researchers and that, they don't even reply to me. I'm just a crazy person online, even when I show them the videos,
What are you hoping to get out of these relationships? Like healing, integration, ascension, happiness? Like what's the bottom line, do you think, for reaching out to Jerry, having these chats, and reaching out to the DMT associations, etc.?
Bottom line for me is getting some exposure. So I can maybe someone that's listening can, I'm open to ideas, but basically professionals getting that exposure where I can get enough information, enough interviews where I can send it off to some of these brain specialists at these institutions, and also the people doing the work on DMT if they want to find the answer to me. Because they've been giving me the cold shoulder. I'm bad news. I'm bad news for their sponsors.
But what are you trying to get?
For the whole
what are you hoping to get for yourself is what I mean, Frank.
For myself,
on a personal level, yeah, from these experiences.
I guess the only thing I'm looking for, I'm still looking for some answers. I'm looking for answers. And at the moment, I think I have to start with what I did with my consciousness, with my brain. So if I can get some sort of medical answers for a start.
Answers to,
apart from that,
what are the questions? Like, what are you looking for answers to?
Well, to start with, I do believe that I've done something, there's got to be some receptors or something that's out of whack, okay? I do believe I have some sort of connection to this realm because, let me tell you something, if I use medical cannabis every day, and when you use a certain product every day, your body your tolerance goes down or whatever, and I don't really get high, you just stabilize. I went a month without using cannabis. 2 weeks ago, I used cannabis. So it was obviously almost like the first time. It was really a lot stronger. It was altering my consciousness a lot stronger. I went straight into DMT land. My eyes were closed and I was seeing, it was as if I'd taken DMT. Okay, now this shouldn't happen. Some would say it's impossible. It's happened to me with mushrooms before when I experimented with mushrooms. After this happened, I took a small dose of mushrooms and I went straight into DMT land for 4 hours.
Sure, lots of people have flashbacks, yeah.
Frank, do you feel that
this is a flashback. This is the embedder that hasn't rewind itself. It's supposed to be reversible. This is
Frank, do you feel you have to keep this thing under control? Does it try to take control of you at times?
No, it can't. Its energy is not strong enough. And even when it can give it the power, when I use substances, it still doesn't, try and attack me or, anything negative. It's actually quite positive.
Well, you just got done saying that if you left your mind blank, it fills your mind with negative thoughts.
Yeah, but negative thoughts to me is not a problem. I combat that straight away. Negative thoughts, we all sort of get them. I've gotten used to them. I shut it off straight away. And I've been in a lot of accidents, Jerry, and stuff, and I know what pain is. And negative thoughts, even some pain, it's not real pain to me because of my threshold is quite high. So, and everything I've been through physically and mentally, a few thoughts, negative thoughts in my head, I've just gotten used to it. It's nothing. I wipe it off as if it's not, it's not even a thing.
Now, what does this thing react to? What does this thing? What upsets it? So apparently you've come to some kind of truce with it, right?
Sort of. I don't know about a truce, but I know that it's never going to tell me. It's made clear that it's never going to tell me who it is, what it is, where it's from. It's very clear. It's also clear that we can't be friends. We can't because we're sharing the same consciousness. We can't make a deal. We can't. It's just having none of it. And like I say, apart from that, it can't do me any harm. It's my consciousness. It's my body.
Well, what does it want from you?
I really don't know. I'm surmising that it wants to be in this dimension. as long as possible. This is why it's good to me. It heals me or whatever. If it wanted me gone, or if it wanted to do me harm, I would imagine it would be, doing things to try and scare the crap out of me, with my body or whatever. But it doesn't. It seems to be just stable, just neutral in a way.
How do you know when it's active? How do you know when it's active?
It's not like it's on and off. It's a constant. It's energy, and its energy is around my body.
I'll be back. You guys keep sharing.
Yeah, it's around my body. It's just an energy. It's the only way to describe it. So it's not like it shuts itself on and off. It can move around and focus in one area and actually get a bit stronger if it wanted to, but it doesn't seem to. Even when I use the substances, I know it has the power. But I know if I release my face and relax, it's going to come out like it does in the videos, and it's really hard for me to get it back in the longer it's out. But it doesn't seem to do that anymore, or it's a strange one.
So do you have to kind of apply energy to keep it from doing that? Do you have to stop it from doing that?
I think I do it subconsciously all the time, just through my thought pattern, just through being me. I think I do that most of the time, just a natural type thing, but it's when I have a release, then it will, sort of try and express itself or do something. But it's really just feels like my body's alive and it has a consciousness.
So kind of if you move out of the way, it kind of takes over.
Yeah, I'll do this with my face. I'll just, if I relax my face, it's just energy and it's pushing out. If I say to it, speak, then it will try and in my mind I can say stop and it'll stop. It's like I'm controlling it in a way sometimes. It lets me control it or have the illusion of some power over it. Again, I think any part of my body and it would start to heal my body. Same with this energy.
But has it healed any of your body? You seem to have still tons of physical challenges.
Yeah, it doesn't heal, but it soothes the pain. Always, it's like the physio. It's like soothing it.
So why are you saying it's trying to heal your body? Is that a lie it's sharing with you to stay there, or like you mentioned that a few times, trying to heal your body, but you've also said it's not healing your body. So
yeah, what I mean by it, I probably not use the word healing, but it's taking the pain away or soothing it for the time being. It's not like it's fixing my herniated disc or anything. It's soothing the pain. It's with my arm, it's like a physio moving it with my back, with my neck. It just does moves to help me. It doesn't do any contra moves. My neck's really sore. I'm in pain 24/7. I can hardly, it's really, especially with all the glands swollen down one side of my face and one side of my body, basically.
How did you end up with all these physical ailments?
I had a motorbike accident 20 years ago. So a couple of herniated discs in the lower back, in my neck, broken collarbone, crushed shoulder, amongst a few other things. And I even have a few problems. I've had some prostate problems, enlarged prostate, and I believe with my mind I've actually been able to sort of fix that in a way or made it at least better, which is quite bizarre.
Frank, has this thing ever given you information that you wouldn't have known?
I believed at times through my questioning that it was giving me information, but then I realised that it's just lying. It doesn't know.
So yeah.
If it did give me a correct answer, it'd just be like a lucky dip, type thing. Yeah. The communication is real, but it's just not. It's just not honest. It's just not.
Can you give me an example of a question you've asked it? Can you give me an example of a question you've asked? Let's say.
Yeah. did the God of the Bible, is it real? Is he real? The Jesus and the God. I really, I've asked her so many questions. I couldn't remember the answers. I'm so sorry.
Did you get an answer to that one? That's a good question.
Yeah. I'm sure I did. He was answering all my questions. Yes, no.
So what did it say about the God?
Pardon?
What did you
But
say?
you couldn't trust anything it was saying.
Well, there was a time when I was trusting it, and I was believing it. Still, at the same time, having thoughts of, hang on, that doesn't seem right, And I was really in sort of dreamland, thinking that this was a human from the future for a couple of weeks. I had no reason to question it, but I probably did, and because of its answering and that, but I so much wanted to believe that I made contact. I knew I made contact with something, and I wanted to believe that. I had no reason to believe it was a negative energy until it really showed its true colours, and then from then on, I realised that everything it was telling me was just crap.
How did it show its true colors to you? Bad things happening to you, bad energy, bad feelings.
Have you watched any of the videos? No. Okay.
I can link them.
Yeah, I'll sure Jerry had sent them to you, but I'll send them to you. It was when
I didn't want to do that without him on it.
Yeah, I sent you an email saying it was over. It's fine. The moment when I was on the ground and I couldn't get up, and it started to make some really growling noises, and I knew this wasn't good. And then obviously when I was in the chair, and it's basically like The Exorcist, except the only thing missing is the head spin. The head's not spinning around, and that's when I knew that it wasn't exactly a good thing.
Now, would you get rid of this thing if you could?
Oh, 100%. I've tried. I spent my whole life savings traveling the world trying to, trying to get this thing out. Everything I know, everything I believe in, everything I don't believe in. Apparently, I don't qualify for a Christian exorcism. You have to be ordained or something and baptized, and so I've been told. And today, I really do believe that this thing's it's going to be in me till the day I die. I'm quite open to try anything. I'm willing to try anything else. But so this hopefully with these interviews and coming public about this, getting some exposure to, I might find some answers or some people to at least, believe me and listen and offer some suggestions and words of advice.
Now, you said you went to a shaman.
Yeah, in Peru.
And how did that work out? You were trying to get rid of it?
That was quite amazing. Yeah, it was really amazing. I saw paranormal stuff, supernatural you could call, levitating off the ground, being put in a trance. The whole time I took no substances, no ayahuasca, nothing at these retreats, and I was being put in a trance. The power of the shaman was bringing this thing out as if I'd taken a substance, and it was really strong.
But you went at those times to with the intent of getting it out, like let's say that last journey we were talking about.
Well, in Peru.
Well, the last time you went to a shaman, you brought it out. Like, what was your intent?
Oh, to Peru, to get it out. I sent in the videos, and the shaman said that he could get this out of me easily. So that was a big leap. I had confidence in him. I'd been there become before. I knew the shaman well. As soon as I arrived at the retreat, I got out of the car. I saw the shaman. As soon as I made eye contact with the shaman, this energy picked up in my arm and was facing back and trying to get me to walk away. And I had to grab my arm physically, put it in front of me, and walk up. And when I did, his first I noticed, he just sat me down, started chanting and blowing smoke over my face. And this energy came out really bad. Got everyone pretty scared, except the shaman, I suppose. It crushed one of my teeth. The lockjaw was that bad. And then every day, the son has 7 of these things inside me. Every day, try and get one out. Again, I'll send you the video footage of this. With the injuries in my back, the way I'm being levitated up, the way I'm up and the way my hands are, it's impossible for me to do this by myself. It's the energy field that's around my body that's doing this. So lifting off about 5 or 6 tons throughout the next couple of weeks. And on the last one, they said I was clean. I was surmising at the time that maybe I do know that one of the tools of shamanism is placebo. So I had good reason to believe that they were doing a SIBO on me. And so on the last day, they got the last one out. They said I was clean. The next day, they had me with a group at the retreat do some breathing exercises to release some natural DMT. And the energy picked up, this thing went crazy, and that's when I knew that, back to square one.
Did you feel different after he said that he got it out?
Yeah, most definitely. I feel that it wanted to retreat, so it stayed dormant. It went dormant inside me, because I did sort of clean. They said I would feel some residual energy. So I feel that this thing hid again inside me, making me believe that they did get it out. And it wasn't until I was on the airplane going to Cusco that I sort of suspected again in my mind, maybe, a bit of energy. I got to Cusco and then it just showed itself as if from day one. It was just the energy was back, and it was like, it hindered me to get away from the shaman. This is what I believe. And so then I couldn't go back to the same place because they were booked out. They were a retreat centre. So I went to another ayahuasca centre, which I'd been to before, except this time he let me drink ayahuasca. I have a bit of a problem with ayahuasca, although I've drunk it maybe 50 times. It's only ever worked once or twice. I seem to be immune to it for some reason, or it works with me in a different way. I drank ayahuasca, it didn't do anything. And then he worked on me, and he was, by the chanting and everything, it was more of a Catholic or Christian sort of shaman saying words that I recognised, like Mother Mary and things like that. And the energy didn't seem to be as strong as the last shaman, but it was definitely quite strong. And same, he worked on me for an hour or two, and then I'd go to sleep, wake up, the energy's still there. Nothing's really changed.
What did these guys charge for one of these
sessions? So the first place I went to is one of the best retreats in Peru. It's called Dream Glade. I think they charge about $120 a day, which is quite cheap, which is one of the cheaper versions. And the other shaman was free. I've seen him plenty of times before, and he didn't charge me at all.
Frank, what does this thing do if you try to read the Bible? Have you ever done that?
No. I would imagine that like now I'm getting thoughts, it would just put negative thoughts in my head, I've watched YouTube videos of pyramids and things like ancient aliens or the Nephilim and stuff like that, and it's very interesting. It's extremely interesting. I can tell by the way my hands and its face is facing the thing, and when I ask it something, it will quickly, look and then look back to not miss what's going on. I do believe that it can see all around me, because in one of the videos where you see the shaman working on me, where he's sucking one out of my head, the shaman is behind me. Just before the shaman is about to get to my head, this thing, you can see my face fringe up like it's getting ready, preparing itself for the shaman. Now, if it was me, I couldn't do this. This, to me, proves that it can see behind me, or its energy can see through some degrees. Because how can it prepare itself? It must have seen the shaman just about to come down and touch my head. And that was quite an amazing thing. So the shaman sucking on my head, and I could feel the energy being pushed up to my head from my body as he sat in tune with the shaman sucking. And then, then I'm burning inwards, getting it sucked out. and then I'm throwing up or pudding. His mate, so an old guy sucking on my head is making me throw up. This is just
This thing has a different intent than you do. It's got a separate intention.
yeah, most definitely. Yeah,
What is that difference? How do you tell the difference between your own intention and the intention of this thing?
yeah. Sometimes I have to, or actually, I'll do something or whatever, and I sometimes think, was that really me? Is this thing subconsciously pulling me in one direction? And I believe it does. The way it's had me disconnect from a lot of people that I shouldn't have. I seem to be this energy that I'm reading, my empath abilities. I seem to read people's things, but I seem to be getting all the negative or all the hypocrisy because we're all hypocrites in a way.
Do you think this thing wants you isolated?
I would suggest so. I would suggest so because I'm definitely isolated and I've been doing more and more of it ever since. And again, to people that I should have known for a long time, and just because of the reading that I'm getting of them, I'm disconnecting from them, and I know that's bad. That's sort of judging in a way. And yes, I am aware of it. It's probably one of the only ways, or the biggest way that it can affect me, that it is affecting me. But I am conscious of it. I'm definitely conscious of it.
Does it allow you to do anything you enjoy, or does it block
Yeah,
that?
sure. Yeah, I end up doing it, but I feel like because sometimes it's hard for me to do something positive, I feel like that it's the one doing that. It's the mindset it's given me, and this is why when I break through and you know and actually do it against its negativity, or I should have done it an hour ago, or so many times I want to do it, but no, if I come up with an excuse that I don't do something. It's then when I go and do it, I just do it anyhow. I will try and wait for
So you have to battle with it sometimes.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And being constructive, in my life, or doing things positive or constructive, I seem to sort of have to sort of get that extra willpower. Yeah.
So it doesn't want you doing that.
No, I think I really do believe it feeds off emotions. It feeds off emotions, and
Do you feel
I
it
think
drains you?
negative. Yeah, sometimes for sure, for sure. I
Is
feel
it,
it feeds off negative emotions, negative thoughts. It's like the opposite of what we esteem to be, as humans, to have a positive outlook, have positive, sharing and caring and all that. It seems to be the exact opposite.
yeah, it doesn't
And
want any of that.
it's even come up, I've had a theory that maybe, with the substances that I did, it created a separate consciousness of the opposite of me, or the negativity side of my subconscious. It brought that alive, and it's created an entity inside me.
So it'd be safe to say this thing was not a positive entity.
Oh, 100% not. If it was positive, we'd have some sort of communication where, we can get answers. And the only positive thing about it is that it sort of doesn't hurt me, and it actually seems to be trying to relieve me of pain with my body, with my injuries. But it's definitely not, something I want to get rid of, most definitely.
It's not something you want to get rid of, or it is something you want to get rid of.
No, it is. It's most definitely something I want to get rid of. This is really not good, and especially the last 6 months, the way it's been shifting around my body, where for the past 3 years, the glowing energy doesn't give me any pain. It's just there. It's okay. But when it shifts its energy and focuses in one part of my body, depending on what part, it's quite sore. It's quite, it's painful. I don't know when it's going to shift again. At the moment, it's in my tooth. It's where the epicenter is. My brain's fine. I can't turn my head. Sometimes it puts its energy under my arm, and my shoulder, and I can't move my shoulder. I went and had an ultrasound done, and they said, you've got huge inflammation. Where'd that come from? And I'm like, oh, okay. And, it's just none of the medical results can show anything except this last one I've got with the phonograph reading, which is really showing some truly bizarre readings, which I hope some doctors will.
Can I ask you a personal question, if I might?
Sure.
Tell us a bit about your childhood, if you don't mind. Like what happened, maybe the kind of life you're having right now.
I've always used drugs, you say party drugs or whatever, and that was I always on the occasion. I put that down to my childhood upbringing where I suffered quite a bit of racial abuse living in Australia. Growing up, got black hair and dark skin. You know, I was born in France, so here you classed as a WOD. So it's quite discriminatory, and some, I'd say, some mental abuse when I was younger as well, just because of all this. So, you know, I couldn't concentrate at school because I'm not learning anything. I don't stand up for myself, so I'm fighting all the time. I did an apprenticeship as a chef. So we're working nights, you go out, you party, smoke cannabis, take the odd party drug, like, you know, most chefs do, I suppose. With my parents, my parents are hard-working family, probably neglected us a bit because of so much of their work. But my dad's never hit me, my mum's never hit me, they're not drunks, they're not drug addicts, they're quite the opposite. They're just a hard-working, come from a low income, from a poor family in France to immigrating to Australia and working their butts off.
Whereabouts in France?
I was born in Paris. Yeah. And so growing up, you know, I acknowledged that that abuse as a child that led me to taking substances. And I've pretty much been a constant user of cannabis. And it's not until my injuries that I've really been using. I'm on the government medical cannabis system for my injuries because I won't take anything from Big Pharma. And it helps me a lot. It really does. I won't even take an aspirin, you know, or Panadol or whatever. I'm just totally against any synthetic. You know, plant medicines are natural. Dimethyltryptamine is a natural hormone that is produced in our brain. When you use dimethyltryptamine, you're not putting anything in your body that's not already there. You're just putting more of it, and that's why your body knows what to do with it, and the journey only lasts a short period of time. Which I'm sure.
Frank, what advice would you have for people that are using these kind of psychedelic cannabis? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I would tell them that you're not being told the whole truth about what the dangers, because they would just seem to know that it's all positive and it's a great experience and everyone's got to do it. This is what they're being told. There are consequences, and there's no return. You know, just if you're going to do these things, do them responsibly, and that's half the battle. If you're doing it for the right reasons and responsibly, then I feel that, you know, you're not going to get taken into that negative sort of energy. And I would suggest that, you know, to do it with very few people, to by yourself, because you're going to attract other people's energies as well. And if they have something in them, it's quite possible that you open yourself up. You know, and that's the problem. People are doing these substances at festivals and parties and things where there's thousands of people, and you know, it's just crazy. You know, legalizing plant. I'm against legalizing plant medicines. People are going to hate me for saying this, but it's, you know, they're just not being told the truth. There's dangers, and then, you know, can you imagine? Like in Australia, they've legalized cannabis if you're for medical reasons, and you can go and get a prescription. I would suggest that 70 or 80% of the people on this system are using it because it's cannabis, it's weed, and they're not using it medicinally. And that will happen the same with if they start to legalize DMT and mushrooms and MDMA and all these other substances which they want to do. People are going to be using them for, you know, for fun more than, sure, they do have medicinal purposes, benefits, properties, but it's not. It's like guns. If you take all the guns away, the only one, the criminals in the government are going to, you know, abide by those laws. Not, you know, it's the same thing. It's all good. It's all good in theory, but it's not practical.
Well, you know, legal or not, people find it if they want to. Whatever it happens.
Exactly. And if you make it legal, look at alcohol. They made that legal, and look at the damage that does. And now they want to make mushrooms and MDMA legal. And what's that other thing? There's I forget. There's another hardcore drug that they're taking these days. It's a steroid, a horse steroid.
Ketamine.
Ketamine. Yeah, they want to open up ketamine clinics. It's just plain clinics. Yeah, it's not like they want to do with mushrooms and so on. People at the shop so they can go home and do it. You know, this is going to open up a whole new wave of negative entities, negative energies coming into this realm, which I believe they are existing and, you know, and in some part are controlling the, you know, the way the world is through us, through our physical bodies.
No doubt.
So do you think these drugs would induce the flow of negative entities into the bodies of people?
Yeah. Well, if you have more people doing it, not in the proper circumstances and whatever, and they're not protecting themselves, then you're going to have more people getting dark entities inside them, dark energies. And, you know, this is a battleground, good versus evil, and you have most of the people walking around with dark entities controlling their thoughts and stuff, and people don't know it, more than those than the good entities. Because how come we never hear of good energies and good entities? We only hear of the dark ones, you know, in schizophrenia and whatever. We only hear dark ones. So that makes me believe that the light ones, the good ones are here, but they're working inside these human bodies of people and doing good. There are people doing good and positive. No matter how much bad you throw in front of them, they'll be good. These are light. There are good entities in here working. It's a spiritual. I see this earth as a spiritual battleground.
Spiritual battlefield.
Humans are the avatar.
Maybe it's more of a consciousness battlefield. You know, you become conscious of things, good, bad, or indifferent. Sure. Figure it out for yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
So Frank, has this thing ever got you in trouble?
No, I don't see how it could. I don't see how. Maybe through my thoughts, if it made me, you know, if I did something that wasn't me or really bad, but I don't do that. I combat that with positive thoughts in my mind, you know. And I do believe that my work with psychedelics, if I didn't have this work with psychedelics in the past, I do believe that this thing would be able to influence me more. I would be less aware of what's happening.
Yeah, so you're kind of saying, though, that the psychedelics are helpful, right? It's like, you know, so it really depends.
Pardon, I didn't hear the first part.
Sorry, but what you just mentioned is that psychedelics have been helpful to you.
Oh, most definitely. I've been helpful to a lot of people. Most definitely. I you know, psychedelics are probably one of the best things that happened in my life. You know, it's changed me a lot. I wasn't always, you know, the person I am now. You know, it's definitely helped me a lot. It's helped me overcome traumas. It's helped me, you know, live my life the way I am now. I respect people. You know, I'm more compassionate. A lot more than what I used to be. Anyhow, I have an awareness of things, which complements all those traits that I seem to sort of have. And you know, you'll get the same response from most people that have done plant medicines. Have you done plant medicines? Or?
Hundreds of times.
Okay, yeah. And your experiences?
My experiences have been fantastic. You know, I've come across all kinds of energies, so to speak. I've learned to integrate, you know, what I've heard and what I haven't heard in my life, and you know, take everything with a grain of salt and figure out, as long as I'm coming from my heart, everything seems to work out just fine. You
know.
Yeah. Frank, do you have a job? Can you work? Do you have a job?
I'm on a disability pension. There's the accident I did when I was living in France 20 years ago, and it was on the way to work. So because it was on the way to work, I get covered. I get a lifetime pension. They class me as 40% handicapped. I used to have, I had total paralysis in the right arm and the left leg. I was in a wheelchair for a long time.
And this thing doesn't like you getting around other people. It wants you to be by yourself.
I would say it would prefer, yeah, it would prefer the way it's, you know, the way I've disconnected from everyone, and I think a lot of the part of it is because of the reality I'm seeing and all the negativity in the world and that, and I want to personally disconnect from all that as well. You know, this whole world, you know, everyone's living a lie and everything, and you know, obviously conversations with people you meet and everything I'm sort of over with. You know, I prefer my own company in a way. So I think part of it is, I prefer to think part of it is me, but also I think it has had a part in me to disconnect as well, you know, just for
So,
whatever
so,
reason.
so your main company, your main companion is this entity. Do you have conversations with it, or do you
You
ignore it,
used to,
or how
yeah,
do you deal
I
with
used
it?
to, yeah, I used it quite a lot, but when I think about it, it's probably been 6 months, a year where I've totally shut it off. So I'll go days and weeks without even thinking about it, you know. Um, and whereas I was talking to it every day, you know, type thing, and I've gone from that to really, it's virtually non-existent in a way. Um,
That's
it's
positive
virtually
to
not.
see that you can get over these things through your own actions.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um,
So
like I said,
the less you interact with it, the weaker it gets.
yeah, I don't know about that. I do feel that it's gotten weaker as time's gone by because it's gotten used to its environment. Because from the start to where it is now, everything that's happened, I feel that it's gotten used to its environment, and maybe it's doing this so I don't do anything about it. I don't go and do any more shamans. Maybe it can really force the energy and make it uncomfortable for me and make me try and get me mad or upset me. If it does that, maybe it's thinking that I'll go back and see a shaman or try and seek help or whatever. So maybe it's leaving me alone. So I don't. So I do what I've been doing the last year, ignoring it and just letting it be. And you know,
Do you feel it
I only
drains your
do.
energy under normal conditions? Do you feel it's draining your energy?
I don't know about draining, but definitely feeding off emotions. Yeah, I'd say yeah, it would drain. It does when it's feeding off my emotions and stuff. I would say I'd possibly be drained. Um,
So it feeds
it's
off of negative emotions, not positive emotions.
definitely yeah. And so the emotions of the eating, because there's something about food as well in the eating that I'm getting an emotion. You got the emotion of something tastes really good. And so when I'm eating, it's like I'm scoffing it down, and for me, it's this thing. So it must like the emotion of that feeling of what the food tastes like, or the emotions that I'm getting from the pleasure of whatever
So
I'm
so
doing.
so it's feeding off positive emotions as well.
Well, yeah, all emotions, yeah, I'd say so, yeah.
I would agree.
But
Yeah.
the positive emotion, yeah, it's the only thing I can think of that what's it doing in my body, what's it want, what's its achievement, what's its desire.
Mm.
For me, and there's a chance as well that it didn't come into my body voluntarily. There's a chance that I took my consciousness out there and it somehow got back in there. And then when I came back here, because the facial expressions and the way it's looking around, going all psychotic, and especially my eyes, it's looking around. It's like it's looking at its new environment. It's shocked. You look at it and you could feel that almost that it was shocked. It's like, where am I? What am I doing here? Type thing. I still don't know whether that's the case or it just entered me and it's happy to be here. And
Now, Frank, can you play that video clip?
I just played on the screen, can I?
You can share screen now if you want. I don't know if it'll work, but you can try.
Yeah, so if you have the video clip of that thing when it first entered you and it was looking around,
Can you hear me? I'll just send you the link. And if the viewers, like I say, if you want to go to my YouTube channel,
Okay.
bottom of the video, I've got a playlist with some tips from the shaman exorcism and from what it went to me.
Send me whatever links you feel like once we get off, and I can link them to the chat if you like. Well, Jerry, let's say we were going to tie this up in a way that would help people watch it, besides Alvin and the Chipmunks and our Christmas show here. What would you
Well,
say? Oh,
I would say that a number of the traits, the patterns, the schizophrenic voices run. Frank is also experiencing. Now his is somewhat different, but there's a lot of commonalities. The negativity. I mean, why would a hallucination be negative? Why would a hallucination be anti-religious? So what the psychiatric mafia is saying that these things are hallucinations.
we're echoing here.
Frank,
We're echo-
Frank says they create negative emotion if he lets them onto the ground. They're negative, and that's the same thing the voices are. They energetically drain their victims. Frank has had that too. Let me see.
Frank, do you have your speakers on? Beside your headphones over there?
Yeah, we got a big feedback.
We got a big feedback. Do you have your outside speakers on beside your headphones over there?
You know what? I had my outside speakers on.
Oh, maybe that was the. Oh,
Okay, they foster isolation, which is one thing they said. No, it's not my speakers.
let me try something.
And
Okay.
they maneuver for control.
Okay,
So
I
what you're
muted.
saying is you have to kind of keep them in line.
I muted Frank, so it's his side that's echoing. Because it's like right now, yeah.
So they manipulate perception, and they want isolation. They want the person to be isolated, so it's only the person and the voices. So there's a lot of commonalities with that. They don't like the person reading the Bible. They don't like him going to church, and boredom is what they want. They want the person isolated, so it's only them and the person.
So Frank, when it's time for you to talk, you can unmute yourself. I just muted it because I think your speakers are on as well, which was the echo we've been getting because it stopped since I muted your side. So Jerry, one quick question, then I'm going to put you a bit on the warm seat here. What about it seems that they also eat off the positive emotions? Frank was saying,
They don't
right?
do that.
I would disagree. That would be a hard disagree on my side because. Like, what about people that eat a lot, let's say, and you have a good feeling from that?
But look at the end result of it.
It's
destructive.
It's horrible. I'm not saying it's not a destructive result, but it is an emotion still of a kind.
Well, yeah, but look where it ends up. The person ends with a bad self-concept.
I
They're
agree.
overweight, they're
I
sick.
agree.
So it's a temporary thing. So just like
Sure.
Frank was saying, sometimes they come in and they pretend to be angels or
Right.
have special powers, or
Right.
we can help you. And
Right.
then once they got you, they're on you.
Well, I'm
They-
not saying
they-
it doesn't
will
go to
tell
the
you.
negative. Yeah, it does go to the negative, but they trick you through some of the positive. Like you said,
Right.
his pain goes away. You feel good
Right.
when you eat chocolate cake, for example.
Yep.
Maybe
You
too
got
much sex people have. I mean, all those
Right.
sorts of things, right? Yeah.
You got
So
it.
yeah.
I had them where the meth addicts the voices would tell them where to be and when to be there to get meth. And this was several of them. So they thought that was a good thing. That was great
Right.
for them. They were all, oh, great, wonderful. That's exactly what we want. But
I mean-
look at the end result.
But the drugs feel good for a moment.
For a kid, right.
And
And
then-
it's the same thing with sex is the same thing. Sex
Right.
addicts. They end up getting, it feels good for the moment, but then in the long run, it's destructive. So
I agree.
they know that.
I agree. Or
They
alcohol,
know.
all of that.
Alcohol
drugs.
feels good when you're drunk, but later on it, catches up with you. That's what they want.
Of
You know,
course.
they'll feed you something good to start with, and once
Right.
they get their claws in you, then they got you.
Gotcha. That's what I mean. That's the honey in the trap, so to speak, or the cheat.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
You got it now.
Yeah. We're kind of talking about the same thing with different definition, but I hear you for sure. Obviously. What's
So
on
Frank, what would be your parting message to people?
What's on his chin there? Looked like he had a few.
I know, isn't that weird? It looks like you got two metal things sticking out of your chin.
Now that is interesting. Yeah,
Hey Frank, is there anything sticking out of your chin?
Came and went, huh? That was interesting.
That was
looked
weird.
Totally looked like horns or something coming out of his tail.
Yeah, it did.
It did, yeah. That was
I mean,
weird.
it was clear as day.
It was. That was strange.
Frank, what is that? What was that?
Okay, you have to unmute yourself, Frank. I muted you. You have to unmute yourself if you want to chat. Where your little Frank on the bottom left of your screen says there. There you go.
What were those things? Both of us saw.
Yeah, I just
it was like two teeth sticking out of, canines sticking out of your chin. What was that?
I just wiped my face, a bit of sweat with some tissue, and some of the tissue stuck in my face.
Maybe.
Didn't look like that.
Maybe.
Me neither. Yeah, didn't look like to me either. Yeah. Because you mentioned before, that they're living in your teeth, so to speak, or your front teeth. Yeah, no, I see the tissue. Well, that was interesting, Jerry. I think it's the first time that we saw some. To me, it didn't look like any tissue. Obviously, it looked like two pointed teeth for sure.
Yeah, it looked like two canine teeth
coming out, which is interesting.
And they stayed there. They stayed there for a good while.
Because they came and they went, and they came and they went when you moved your head. So I don't think it was tissue. So it was very interesting to see that.
Yeah.
So I think what we're looking at here is, it's like anything else, like traveling, psychonauts, plant medicine. So I think what we're looking at here is useful in moments, but not useful all the time. Jerry has mentioned, that these entities do feed off emotions, even if they give you a positive one for a moment, it's the negative ones they're after in the long run, so to speak, kind of keep you encaged or enscrolled or enslaved to them, and they feed off you. And, Jerry, maybe we can tie this up with what you suggest as I said to people that are having similar kinds of experiences as Frank.
Well, a lot of them. So Frank has got his, he's kind of come to a truce with it, but
Right.
A lot of people haven't. So I'd suggest they go to my website and look up the That's a Lie program under articles. There's a lot of good information under articles about what people can do about these things if they want to.
Yeah. I've talked with Sherry Sweeney a few times. We're going to have a series coming up in the new year as well. She's the author of the That's a Lie program that Jerry just mentioned. So she's very well versed in an amazing, interesting, and friendly lady. And we're going to dive deeper into these voices ourselves coming in here. Sherry's decided we're going to do a 3-part series, so you can come and see that. You can see what she's shared on Jerry's channel as well. If you go to Jerry's website, the last chat I had with Sherry on It's All Your Fault and how to figure out to take responsibility for your life is also up there already. And Jerry, maybe you can tell us a bit about your book as well. That can help some of the viewers. Do you have it? Do you have it there?
Yeah, I have it here. Forgotten, and it's in German too. Sherry kept reminding me this is how we came to the conclusion that the voices run. So it's an amazing journey into the psychotic mind. We got it translated to German. You can get it off of lulu.com or Amazon. The voices, if they're running consistent, persistent, repeatable patterns, they can't be hallucinations. And as long as psychiatry gets people to believe they're hallucinations, they're not going to be able to do anything about them. And they're preventing the person themselves from doing anything about them, because what are you going to do about a hallucination?
100%.
And their what do you call it? Their declaration is based on nothing. They have done no research on the voices whatsoever. They consider them hallucinations just because they say they are. They've not done a single study on them, so they don't know what they're talking about.
No, they don't. And and Frank has had his experiences, and he's come to the forefront to share. It's good to have your plant, let's say, explorations, but also you have to be careful. You have to make sure, double, triple, and quadruple check your sources, and make sure if you're going to do any of these journeys, you're with someone reputable. You're in good energy. You're hanging out with friends instead of maybe the opposite, which could be true. And it's definitely, I would say, get a 3rd, 4th, and 5th opinion before you do anything in life. And Jerry's a great resource for that. Sherry Sweeney, Keyhole Journeys, is a good resource for that. You can come to my channel. There's a whole bunch of interesting things to see. I'll put Frank's videos below, the ones that he shared, so you can see his interactions and his exposure of his entities. And Frank, if you want to mute yourself, is there anything you'd like to leave our viewers with on the way out here?
No, it's fine. Yeah, thanks for listening. And it's hard to find people with ears to listen these days, especially about something as complex as this and surreal as this as well. Really the truth is that no one knows the truth. We can only sort of go on. I'm only going off what my own experiences and what I've experienced these past 3 years, and I just can't find any too much correlation into sort of these belief systems, the spiritual beliefs or religious or whatever belief there are. It's just basically just have to go my own experience.
And to me, you look like a loving man that's had some hard times in this world, and I think that's what causes a lot of the challenges in the first place, right? I've been through some of the things you've been through. It sounds like of some ways we've had similar experiences, and in the end, we just want to be loving, have a good life, and figure things out for ourselves. So I appreciate you coming on and sharing and letting people learn from your experiences. So perhaps that can help them out as they move along as well.
Thanks so much for your time and appreciation.
For sure. All right, Jerry. Thanks again. Mind Monster 6 is in the can, so to speak. Maybe we will call this one Psychonauts Gone Wild. Make sure that if you go wild with your psychedelic experiences, you make sure that, you're grounded in all the ways you need to be so that, you can come
So will as this as well.
for the better instead of for the worse. All right. Everyone, have a good New Year. This may be the last video I make this year, so it's...
Yeah, that was very interesting, to say the least. See what the hell's going on here. I did have a few dots come out of his head. How impressive.
But I mean, that's the honey in the trap, so to speak, or the cheese.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
You got it now.
Yeah. We're kind of talking about the same thing with different definitions, but I hear you. Yeah, for sure.
Sorry about that ending there. Obviously, it is another mirrored image or video.
So to speak, or the cheese.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
You got it now.
Yeah.
To get that line out of there. I can't. Anyways. Yeah. Oh, shoot. So if you're wondering about some of the images, and some of the images are from me filming outside this month in the backyard. Also, there's some images from, what is the channel again?
What kind?
Pierre Sabak interviewing his last show. There's a guy, what's his name? Mike Oram. Second interview with Pierre Sabak. He's got some images of orbs shooting vertically up. And then he has this entity that looks very similar to some of the stuff, like this mist type, ghost type entity that he calls the tulip people, but it doesn't look like a tulip to me. Anyways, this is a very interesting interview too. I'll probably leave a link for Pierre's interview of this guy as well. There's something seriously wrong with what's going on with these orbs, these spirits, the spirit realm. I still haven't found anything else that works better than Jesus. I bet everyone thinks it has to be a religious thing, but
you're going to try, go all the way. Otherwise, don't even start. If you're going to try, go all the way. This could mean losing girlfriends, wives, relatives, jobs, and maybe your mind.
Take it slow. Are you searching?